I know you wrote an article, key takeaways from the loss to the Chiefs. So we'll break them down. We got 6 of them. We'll go 3 and 3. Can't blame the defense. The power of running the football, which is another one that's key, and the season of giving. And we showed earlier, Browns are second worst team turnover differential to the Raiders. They're minus 16 already this year.
Yeah, I mean, that's been one of the biggest problems, on top of the fact that while they're turning the ball over, they're not really creating enough turnovers on the defensive side. And we know that's been a problem this year. You know, Denzel Ward's talked about it. Other guys in the secondary have talked about it. Last couple of weeks, it felt like Denzel was actually making some of those plays, and that was obviously encouraging. But yeah, like that's another area where problems persist, right? And it doesn't help that. I mean, I listen, Deshaun Watson, when the offense was under his command, was awful. But the one thing he didn't do was have like an excessive amount of turnovers. And now that's just gotten worse with Jameis Winston. And it's kind of just par for the course. Like, you know what you signed up for with Jameis Winston. This team knew what they signed up for with Jameis Winston. You get the good with the bad. Unfortunately, in a game like Sunday, there was more bad than good. Like, you didn't get a nearly 500-yard performance that could kind of help mask, you know, some of the bad that was out there, and make you feel at least good about a game. Like that Broncos game, he throws 2 pick sixes, but you turn the TV off after that one, and you're like, well, hey, you know, they put up a good fight. They had a quarterback who threw for almost 500 yards. He just threw a couple to the other team, and you can kind of, I don't want to say live with the result, but you at least like enjoyed the football game. Yesterday it was just all the bad from Jameis. And so yeah, I think there's just too much inconsistency there. You're not going to win a lot of games, as Kevin Stefanski said, when you turn the ball over 6 times. And that's going to be a major point of emphasis for this team moving forward, which is part of the reason why I don't know for sure that it's definitive that Jameis Winston's back next year, because they just can't afford to give the football away as much as they have this season.
Um, Defense actually played pretty well, all things
Yeah.
considered.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you on that one. As I kind of wrote about in the piece that you sort of highlighted, I want to see if I can find these real quick. There was like a number of stats I wrote down. They forced 6 3-and-outs. They only gave up one long scoring drive for the entire game. It was that 14 play, 87-yard drive in the second quarter. 14 of the Chiefs' 21 points came after turnovers that gave them a short field. Kansas City only had 311 yards of total offense. They were 7 of 18 on third down. That's not terrible. It's only like a 39 conversion percentage. And Patrick Mahomes he completed 50% of his passes and 1 touchdown. Like they kept that game like they've kind of done all year. The Chiefs have played so many one-score games. It wasn't like they blew the doors off the Browns, but the way the game played out, because there were so many turnovers, it felt like they blew the doors off the Browns, weirdly enough. So yeah, it was an interesting situation how it all kind of went down. And the defense, I thought, gave them a chance, and that's kind of been the story this season. There's been games where the defense has given them a chance, especially early on this season, and the offense just couldn't do anything with it. And the results are, again, a team that's now 3-11 because they haven't been able to get all those phases to play together.
All right, so the other 3 key takeaways from that article: Scary Jerry, Jerry Judy again, pretty good. Has, I believe it's now the 11th best receiving season in Browns history. Not so special teams. We kind of touched on that a little bit earlier as well. And are you happy now? DTR gets some playing time. You know what? The thing that I'm curious with, Spencer, and I'm going to tie 2 of these together: DTR getting playing time and Jerry Judy. I'm curious to see, can Jerry Judy be a threat if it's DTR? Because there was a marked improvement when you went from Watson to Winston. Watson to Winston.
Yeah, it's a good point. I know Kevin was kind of asked about that today, like this idea that how much does how much stock does he put in the fact that guys like Jerry Judy, guys like Elijah Moore looked better or had their games elevated by Jameis Winston being out there. So I don't think that can be understated. I think that's an important sort of note here, going into next week. But yeah, like it's Jerry's been, I think, phenomenal this year. I'm not saying this was like the hottest take ever. I think a lot of people were sort of in this camp with me, but I threw out there before the season started. I thought he could get 1,000 yards this year. Some of that came from he seemed to have really good chemistry with Deshaun Watson during training camp, and that's obviously continued in, twofold with Jameis Winston throughout the last several, however many games they played since week 8 now. I've kind of lost track here. I guess it's week 15. So they played 7 games. But yeah, or 6 games. But yeah, I just, it's been phenomenal to watch. And I do think that the Browns, as they enter an offseason with a lot of questions, particularly at the quarterback position, I do think they at least have one answer in the form of we know we have a really good wide receiver in Jerry Jeudy who can potentially be our number one guy. And maybe you just have to find somebody to sort of play the Robin to his Batman in this offense and kind of be on your way once you sort out the quarterback position. But yeah, seeing if DTR, assuming DTR is going to be starting this weekend and maybe beyond, and given that Kevin Stefanski remains non-committal, it feels like that's going to be the move because last week he told you straight up that he wasn't making a change at quarterback and that James was still the guy. I'm curious to see what Jerry Judy's numbers look like with somebody like Dorian Thompson Robinson out there under center.